Peace, it's Equality Fragrances coming to you from Prince George's County, Maryland. Welcome to the Cypher. Today, I'm gonna be giving you my top 5 niche fragrances I look forward to wearing this spring of 2022. But before we start, I have a disclaimer. Come in closer, let me tell you something. I am your conscience. This is a top 5 list. There are hundreds of thousands of fragrances that exist. Mathematically speaking, everything can't make the list. Hell, I could have did a top 30, but I'm not. I'm doing a top 5. If you don't see your favorite fragrance on this list, there's a reason for it. Rather, I don't own it. I don't want to own it. Or I own it and I didn't simply want to put it on the list. I am your conscience. So, in the comments down below, give me your top 5 niche fragrances you look forward to reaching to for spring of 2022. With that being said, let's start the show. Coming in at number 5, this fragrance is my most worn fragrance of spring and summer of 2021. This is a everyday style of fragrance. You can make this almost signature scent in the next 2 months. This fragrance is bright. It fits with the vibe of spring. When I think of spring, I think casual, laid back, just something very comforting. I believe that you should at least have a tea scent within your list at all times. And this is one of the most powerful tea scents I have ever smelled from a power standpoint. This is coming from the house of Nishane, and this is Wulong Cha. Now, is this fragrance overly special and unique? Absolutely not. I've smelled several fragrances that smell almost similar to this fragrance. You can talk about Elizabeth Arden green tea. You can, or I think it's green tea. You can talk about Banana Republic 78 vintage green. Valentino in the women's section has a Valentino Donna Rosa Verde or something like that. That smells similar, although tea isn't listed within that fragrance. That's also an amazing fragrance. But this is also amazing within its own right. Again, performance is not an issue with this fragrance. And that's coming from the house of Nishane, and that's Wulong Cha. Coming in at number 4 is probably one of the most complex spring and summer fragrances I own within my collection. To try to describe this in under 2 minutes or a minute wouldn't even do this justice, but I'm going to try. When this opens up, it opens up with this juicy, ripe plum, very sweet but rich, in combination with this petitgrain, which has this green, citrus, slightly earthy faucet to it. Then you get this woody accord, and the woody accord consists of notes like hay, Palo Santo rosewood, vetiver, sandalwood, and oak moss. What you get with that, because none of those notes stand out as much. Sometimes I get hay and then it'll disappear. Then I get sandalwood. It's always changing. But what it creates is this sweet, smooth, almost herbaceous, woody accord. That's laid upon lavender, which is giving this old school, almost fougere type of scent. This is a old school cologne style of fragrance that has a different twist to it, and that goes all the way down to the bottle. As it starts to move into the heart, you start getting stuff like, I start getting that blood orange along with those sweet accords that I get from the woodiness. You get something that's balsamic. I also get something that's powdery, like almost iris-like, but iris isn't listed, or violet leaf, but violet leaf isn't also listed as a note. But I get this beautiful powderiness to it. This is a overall perfection of a fragrance, and this is coming from the house of Rasei Fort, and this is Kolonya. Honestly, this should always make a spring list. It's woody, it's green, it's floral, it has a floral heart. And it has, the way you put this on, it has a twist top. You're supposed to put it in your hand and then smack it on like old school when cologne used to be like aftershave. But for me, I use a pipette and I'll put it in a atomizer and I'll spray. Now, because there's a difference in pouring it in your hand and putting it on in a spray, I tend to put a lot of sprays on to match what I would have got as coverage just putting it on my neck. Other than that, this is a absolutely Great fragrance. Lucky Scent was the only place you could have had it. I don't know if it's there anymore, but Rasei is the kind of perfumer. He only makes his batches. When those are gone, they're gone. I've talked about this fragrance for almost 2 years. If you didn't get it by now, you might miss out on getting it. And it was only like $110 for a 50 ml, and that's Kolonya. Coming in at number 3, if you watch my channel, you know that this fragrance is going to be on the list. I've described this fragrance as sundresses and brunch. I'm not even going to prolong the intro on this fragrance. You already know what it is if you watch me. And that's from the house of Kilian, and that's Roses on Ice. To me, this is my favorite from the entire liquor line, and I have all of them. This just bangs. You got that cucumber feel to it, that vibe. You get also a floral infusion of roses within the fragrance, but it's not I wouldn't consider it a rose fragrance. It's just this infusion. What this is supposed to smell like, which it does, is supposed to smell like Hendrick's gin. If you ever had Hendrick's gin, it's infused in floral and cucumber. It's even served with a twist of cucumber. An absolutely amazing fragrance. I love it. Now, one of my favorite drinks with Hendrick's gin is mixing it with lemonade. So if I'm thinking about layering this with maybe my best lemon fragrance to see how that turns out. Because then I think if they added Roses on Ice with a twist of lemon, my God. Anyway, that's Roses on Ice from the house of Kilian. Coming in at number 2 comes from one of my favorite fragrance houses within my collection. I created the absolute pandemonium on this fragrance. This fragrance was setting for years. It was at every discounter not being bought. I did a review on this fragrance and you cannot find it. It sells out every time it's restocked. This is coming from the house of Mancera, and this is Mancera's Pearl. This definitely got hit with the equality effect. When I talk about it and you can't find it, man, this is one of the most powerful fig fragrances I have ever put my nose on. Easily. I do not care if you're in Chicago in the middle of winter, by the water, in sub-zero temps. This is going to perform and push. This is a beast mode hot weather fragrance. It's just, what you get is this fruity fig accord. Fig is the dominant note in here, but it's supported by apple and white peach, and I believe some bergamot. Has a beautiful floral heart, which is dominated by the rose. And you get this musky, ambery, slightly woody base with the ambergris and the white musk. Stunning. It is, I did a full review on it. Check it out. This is an amazing fragrance, and the compliments I get on this is absurd. Absolutely absurd. This is a room filler. Be careful with the sprays. You don't need much, especially when it's really hot. And that's Mancera's Pearl. Coming in at number 1 for the spring is an amazing fragrance for this time of year. This fragrance has been described as a orange creamsicle. And I get the creaminess because that comes from that floral heart and somewhat of the opening, from the ylang-ylang to the petitgrain, adding that greenness of the citrus greenness to the neroli and the orange blossom, adding that white floral, almost clean soapy feel to the combination with buttery iris. You have the citruses up top, dried down to a woody, ambery, vanillic base. Outstanding. This is coming from the house of Boadicea the Victorious. This is Valiant. Now, the downside to this fragrance is it's expensive as hell. But I'm not trying to sell you nothing. I'm not telling you you need to have it in your collection. I'm gonna wear the hell out of this in the spring. Compliments galore. You can dress this up or dress this down. A stunning fragrance, absolutely. Is it the best smelling fragrance in the world? No, but it works for me, man. And that's Valiant from Boadicea the Victorious. So those are my top 5 niche fragrances I look forward to wearing in spring of 2022. Leave your 5 down below. Don't forget to like the video, share the video to anybody you know might be looking for fragrances. Don't forget to follow me on all my socials. Link will be in the bio. I'ma leave you the way I greeted you, and that's the universal language of peace.